Chronicles TV on air. We are now live in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to another episode of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. In the previous episode, we continued the court trial. We went to our first summation examination. Today, we're going to continue with the trial and see what we can find. We're down to 3 strikes, 3 chances, 3 lives. So if you have today's episode, make sure that like, post, subscribe to the channel. Let's go to see what we can do next. Because we're down to 3. So I'm assuming that just follows the checkpoint and all that stuff. Get to it! Having saved the rich aroma of the carmine contents of this hollow chalice, it may be crass to crush it to dust. Pray forgive the discourtesy. Lord Von Zykes! Is it cold in here or is it just me? As your antiquated tome no doubt says, the prosecution may not speak during a summation examination. So I honor a deathly silence and listen to the charade. It seems I overestimate the intelligence of the jury. Well, no matter. There is nothing so hard to prove as a self-evident truth, it would seem. No. And why else would we grace the courtroom with our presence after all? So, let us proceed to the next round of battle. He took off his cape! Bring forth the witnesses once more. That means he's serious! Witnesses, I trust you heard the summation examination we have just had to endure. Oh yes, that I did, sir. Of course I heard it. Oh yes, sir, I have heard it. You, sir, on the end, the coachman. I believe it's Beppo. Yes, sir, my lord, sir. It is transpired that in your previous testimony, you were attempting to veil the presence of a 5th passenger on your omnibus. You will be found guilty of perjury. You are advised to bear that in mind, sir. Oh, mio dio, oh. I don't know what that means. Now the witness says, I hereby call you to testify before the court again. You will explain the various misgivings brought to your attention by the defense summation examination. Various misgivings. I only carried 4 passengers that night, I swear it, but, well, I, for one, was told I had to pay 5 pence for the bus. He fiddled us on the fare, he did, and then I saw that blood-curdling sight as well. It's all too much. I tell you, I saw McGiddle stabbing that man. Everything I said before stands. Oh, yes, he stabbed him. Yes, he did. I think so, yes. Counsel, make sense of this for me, please. The phantom 5th passenger conjured existence my learned Eastern friend never existed. I'm somehow messing up big time. Confusion has arisen from the coachman's sly little concierge. What that means? Beppo, explain yourself. I'm terribly something, Guildmaster. The guild's fare is 4 pence across the board. You know that. Am I to understand that you overcharging the passage by a penny a fare? It's so cold, and the last round of the day is always half empty. You have been dishonest, coachman. I'm sorry. You're a disgrace, Beppo. A disgrace. And your selfish action have brought dishonor on the entire guild. If I may, sir, I had to pay 10 pence on the bus just last week. What? 4 passengers at 5 pence each is, yes, 20 pence. I've done the arithmetic 10 times already, but I just can't make the result come out differently. No, that figures. Well, it would appear that one of the aforementioned misgivings has already been explained. So, counsel for the defense, your cross-examination, if you please. We've already had the pleasure of protracted summation examination today. I see you attempt to continue the parlor games. Absolutely. He had to pay 10 one time. And back, like I said, we're back to 3. I carried 4 passengers tonight, I swear. But, well, I for once was had to pay 5 pence for the bus. He fiddled us on the fare. He did. And then I saw the blood. It's all too much. I tell you, I saw McGill stabbing that man. Everything I said before stands.
Hold it!
So you saw the defendant, Mr. McGill, stabbing the victim, Mr. Mason, who was sitting next to him. That's what I said, isn't it? It was bothering me before that this was. For just a brief moment, he hesitated before answering the question. Anyway, there was two of them inside the carriage, wasn't there? There's been much talk of a 5th passenger, but as yet, 0 evidence. Then, what are they wasting all the time for, eh? It's black, white, the man's guilty. Something about Mr. Fairplay suddenly just jars with me. I wish I could work out with what it was. Yo, go back again. Who was...
Hold it!
Let me see this. For just a brief moment, he hesitated before answering the question. What was his previous statement? I don't remember. Not long ago, this trial very nearly came to an end. Somehow, we managed to keep our chances alive here. I can't waste this cross-examination. I have to use it to bring some new facts to light. If you're not careful when you press these witnesses, the danger is that the jury will end up believing something unhelpful, as they did before. Maybe, but we can't let the fear of that happening to stop from uncovering important new information. Yes, you're so right. I need to pay careful attention here. I don't want to miss even a flicker of reaction among these witnesses. I know, but I need to keep an eye on what they're reacting to.
Hold it!
So, there were only 4 passengers on your carriage, but you didn't charge them the standard 4-piece fare. Is that right? It's impossible to make the last one of the day pay. It was so cold, it was all I could do to stop myself passing out. I'm getting chill brains just listening to you. It was trouble, so I want to give myself a pat on the back for even keeping the bus running. Doesn't a dedicated coachman deserve an extra penny per passenger? You're digging a deeper hole for yourself here, buddy. If only there had been a 5th passenger on the omnibus that night, then we would have another suspect. Let's see.
Hold it!
Does that mean everyone on board that night paid 5 pence instead of 4? Well, I paid 5 pence too, sir. And I just told you that I did. A flat fare of 5 pence across the board. It's not something to be proud of. The so-called discrepancy can be learned, friend, identified, was nothing of the sort. Much like the phantom killer you so desperately needed, it's gone, dead, and buried. I'd have been happy if it had been existed in the first place. I don't know why I'm just mumbling left and right.
Hold it!
This blood-curdling sight. You mean the murder, I presume? Yes, sir. A loathsome sight. No one should have to witness the horror in the eyes of a man that a woman's life has taken. Oh, well, not exactly, sir. I mean, I did see the exact moment that gent was stabbed. Good gracious, really? We have another witness who did, however. The banker has already testified to it. But Mr. First didn't actually see the point at which the victim was killed. That may turn out to be very significant. I heard the banker gent next to me take a sharp intake of breath. See, that's when I looked through the glass. That's when I saw the horrible blade poking out from his belly, all covered in blood. Every time I see a knife now, I can't help screaming even when I'm eating. That we saw.
Hold it!
Earlier you testified that you saw the moment when the defendant allegedly stabbed the victim, didn't you? That's right. They're the same. You said that the victim was on the floor and described the assailant holding the knife in an ice pick grip. He did? I suppose. I might have, you know, yes, put the cart before the horse, maybe? What's this? Well, I'm quite sure about the most of it. I was driving the horses when I heard a scream from the seats on the roof deck. Oh, I expect that was me, sir. Then, when I turned around, yes, I saw through the skylight. The gentleman was on the floor and the knife was sticking up out of the midriff. That's right. And the fellow holding the handle was the famous man, yes. So in short, you didn't see the moment when the victim was actually stabbed at all. I really thought that I did, but when I go over it again in my head, no, I suppose I didn't actually see the precise moment of stabbing, did I? There it is!
Excuse me.
Do you have something to say about that, Mr. Fairplay? Now you listen to me. I know what you're thinking. He didn't really see the exact moment the fellow was stabbed. What are the chances of that? Eh? Are you asking me or telling me? He's getting flustered. I might be able to extract some new information from him if I answer him cleverly. Could he have just happened to see the exact moment the crime was committed? No chance. Well, it is a little hard to believe, certainly. Unless you spend your peeping through a skylight on the top of the omnibus, that is. Peeping? I'm a respectable city banker, I'll have you know. And I know what I saw. I remember it clear as a Ballarat day. It was a grim scene that I don't mind telling you. Thank you, Mr. Fairplay. Oh, excuse me if I was getting a little hot under the collar, my lord. I would ask you to supplement your testimony with a clear statement about what exactly you saw. Did you know thing I forget the sight of those blood-soaked hands after that blood-stabbing man?
Hold it!
Blood-soaked? Ahem, well, perhaps soaked is laying it on the little thick butt. But anyway, there was definitely blood all over them. Both of them were covered in it. And you saw that from the roof, to the skylight. Well, the skylight is reasonably large, so I had pretty good view. And there was a lamp on the inside carriage as well, so I'm quite sure what I saw. This banker's latest statement. I feel sure there's something not quite right about it. When you feel something doesn't add up, Mr. Naruhodo. Excuse me. That's when you should have a good look at the record. Not long ago, the trial very near came to end, blah blah. Next. Let me see if anything else comes to light with this guy.
Hold it!
Let's see. It was the same. Huh? The autopsy report makes it quite clear the victim was stabbed only once, which means the banker was witness to the fatal wound that ended Mr. Mason's life. Did you think I forgot the sight of those blood-soaked hands after the butcher stabbed man? So let me see. This?
Objection!
Blood-soaked hands. Well, I admit that soaked might be laying it on a little thick, but anyway, there was definitely blood all over them. Both of them were covered in it. Well, I'm very sorry to disagree, Mr. Fairplay, but that's more than a little peculiar. What? Here are these gloves worn by the defendant, Mr. McGill, on the night in question. Oh yes, right. And there certainly does appear to be a sizable dark color stain there, but as I'm sure you can clearly see, it's only on the right-hand glove. In short, Mr. Fairplay, your testimony is inconsistent. But no, that can't be right. So you're the liar here then? That's right, you were quite clear about it. You said, what was both hands? Mr. Fairplay, your last statement was a lie. It calls your entire testimony into question. You say you saw the moment the victim was stabbed, but is that really the truth?
Objection!
It was a simple mistake. You can't just accusing this man of lying. Yes, it wasn't both hands. It was only one, but the fact remains. The victim's blood was on the accused.
Objection!
No, Mr. Fairplay categorically stated that he saw blood all over both hands, which means there's a strong possibility that this witness was deliberately trying to mislead the court. Why? I'm a city banker for Pete's sake. My word should be the gold standard. I'm a gentleman, not some gunner snipe. Standing member of society. Don't whatever. Perfectly. He's claimed to have no reason to lie. But is that really the case? Mr. Naruhodo, if we had some evidence to explain why Mr. Fairplay might be lying, it could be turned tied in the trial completely. Something to show this man has compelling reason to lie in his testimony. What do we have that's evidence? What do we have? Why would he lie? Hold up. This portfolio contains all sorts of secrets of London's gentry. Do you really think we ought to look inside? Well, it's not as though we have any London's gentry personally, apart from the great detective friend, perhaps. Actually, I wonder... I assure you will not find Mr. Sean's name inside. Well, let's see what we can find. He borrowed 20 guineas, did he? And look, the repayment date is fast approaching. It's possible that this is just a coincidence, of course, but this could be very useful information. Nice. We just looked at it just in case. Gotcha. Got it. We have evidence. My lord. Yes, counsel? The defense is ready to present evidence. Why, Joe, are you sure? Yes, evidence that will clearly demonstrate why Mr. Flay had reason to lie in his testimony. Gah. Oh, so that way he can get him guilty. Oh, right. So he can get out of his debt. I hereby call the defense to present its evidence. The evidence that demonstrates a motive for the witness' alleged deception of the court. This better be it. I better not be choking something else.
Take that!
This is a list of debtors who owe money to Mr. McGill. Yes, a list of innocent victims crippled by the accused extortion. The point is, among the names of these debtors is your name, Mr. Bruce Fairplay. Ugh. What? Mr. Fairplay, are you currently in debt financially to the accused? No, well, it's barely worthy of being called a debt. According to the ledger, you owe 20 guineas. That ain't a considerable sum of money, wouldn't you say?
Well, what of it?
Let's suppose Mr. McGill were to be found guilty of murder. What would become your debt in that case?
These documents state the loan agreement is forged between two individual parties. Therefore, were the creditor, the defendant here, to be sentenced to a capital punishment, all outstanding debts which were owed to him would be annulled. They would cease to exist.
Cease to exist? Mr. Fairplay? Isn't that the case that you claim in your testimony to have seen something you never in fact saw, in a devious attempt to annul your debt of 20 guineas to the defendant?
Gah! Gah! Order! Order! Mr. Bruce Fairplay. Yes, my lord? Let me ask you again. And be aware that your answer may have most serious implications upon your future, sir. Did you or did you not see the precise moment in time at which the defendant is alleged to have thrust a knife into the victim?
Gah. Your silence speaks volumes. You did not tell the truth in your testimony.
Alright, now let's make a melodrama out of this. Perhaps I did overstate the truth a pinch.
A pinch?
But it makes no difference. I definitely remember seeing blood on McGiddle's hands, both of them.
Objection!
And yet, only one of the defendant's gloves, which we have here as evidence, is stained.
So you keep saying.
I wonder if I might be allowed to speak, sir.
Go ahead, Mr. First.
Well, the thing is, I think I remember seeing it myself as it happened.
Seeing what happened?
The blood, sir, on the assailant's hands. I think, yes. I'm almost sure that it was both of his hands, not just one.
What? What? It would appear that we're going to need further testimony from all you witnesses. This time, I would like to know precisely what you did and what you did not see. Do I make myself perfectly clear? Yes.
Mr. Naruhodo, this is good news. The course of the trial seems to have shifted slightly at last. Yes. I might finally have a chance to turn these things around here. Next testimony. What the witness really saw.
There was blood on both hands on the assailant. I sincerely, distinctly remember that. Did the music change? Are we that close? However, I suppose you might say that I didn't see the exact moment of stabbing transpire if that matters.
I remember seeing the knife, and I remember seeing both of the attacker's hands with blood on them.
I didn't actually see anything myself, no, not until I heard that scream. Anyway, the fact remains, can't have been anyone else inside that carriage, or we all have seen it. Well, lo and behold, in truth of fact, not one of you was witness to the crucial moment the crime was perpetrated. I apologize, my lord, but honestly, there was no one else inside the carriage, and the man's hands were covered in blood. That much incriminating evidence to a tantamount to saying we saw the man do it.
That's really not what a testimony is about.
Let us examine the interior of the omnibus once more. The victim's fresh blood is clearly visible on the seat, corroborating the witness's accounts. In other words, there is no substantial nor significant change in the facts of the case. Very well. Your cross-examination, please, counsel.
Yes, my lord.
There was blood on both hands on the assailant. I sincerely and distinctly remember that. However, I suppose you might say I didn't see the exact moment the stabbing transpired, if that matters. I remember seeing the knife, and I remember seeing both of the attacker's hands with blood on them.
Let me see this real quick. That's said knife. Can I, like, take this thing off? Let's take out the scabbard. The part is the sheath, isn't it? Are you alright, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, sorry, yes. I just don't really like blades. Oh, those don't seem like the words of a man with a large katana slung from his waist, whatever. That's not a blade, that's Kazuma's soul. Anyway, there's no sense in delaying it. Let's see what the blade looks like. Yo! The blood. Yo, get back over there. That looks a lot like blood. It really is blood. The victim's... an Englishman's blood looks a lot like Japanese man's blood. Did you think it would? Wouldn't? Sorry, it's just... we only just arrived here in Great Britain. I'm finding it a little hard to adjust. Yes, I do understand. That's the blood. Wait, is that blood stain in the back of it, or is it just like that? And the M too. An ornate letter M, underlying Mr. Magnus McGinnis' initial. It's beautifully gilded too. It must be valuable, I should think. What is it? Look at this M. If you turn it upside down, it comes a W. This could change everything. A W? Yes, this is one of those, you know, turnabout cases. I'm sure of it. I'm afraid I don't know it at all, but what am I sure is that is an M. Oh, well, that idea was quickly quashed. Wumbo. Is there anything else important? I don't think so. Anyways, back to the case. That is surely the what we saw in the photo.
Hold it!
You definitely saw that too. Blood on both hands. Yes, sir. I mean, I know what you're going to say. Only one of McGettle's gloves has any signs of blood on it. That's right. The thing is, as far as I remember, sir, when I looked down and saw Mr. McGettle's sitting beside the other fellow, I don't believe he was wearing any gloves, sir. He wasn't wearing these gloves? That's correct, sir. And I saw the blood on both his bare hands quite clearly. It's true that dark color stain on the dark leather gloves wouldn't have been easy to see. I should point out that the police officer who apprehended the accused on the night in question reported that there was no trace of blood on McGittle's gloved hands. There wasn't blood on his hands? Oh, this is puzzling indeed. This must be significant somehow, I'm sure of it. Oh. Mr. Fairplay didn't see Mr. Mason being stabbed at all. That's a huge, significant change. And there's something else that occurred to me while listening to the witnesses' last testimony. Two of them were recounting what they saw through the skylight in the omnibus roof. I know it's a large window and it certainly affords a good view of the inside, but, well, I think perhaps we ought to confirm what they're saying with our own eyes as much as possible. I mean, that we can examine the evidence firsthand. The omnibus is here in the courtroom after all. That's a good idea, and we can consider the witness statements while we're looking around. With the blood of both hands to the assailant, I still see discrepancy. I mean, I already checked it not once, but twice, but probably 2 times. However, I suppose you might say I didn't see the exact moment.
Hold it!
Don't try to downplay this. Whether or not you saw the exact moment of the crime is a matter of fundamental... Okay, that's honestly badgering the witness. I was just trying to save all of us some time. You have a loan of 20 guineas outstanding with the defendant, do you not? He's badgering the witness. Had you hoped to release yourself from that financial burden by ensuring the defendant found guilty? Okay. A little guinea or 10. We're badgering the witness.
This witness Chronicles are not on trial here. Proceed to the next witness.
Is it that really how it's supposed to work?
We're badgering the witness.
It's something about he said.
Hold it!
You didn't see anything. Oh yes, sir, that's hard to say I didn't. Very well something I said before, sir, very yes. It was very wrong for me to make up stories and I saw this happen to man.
Wouldn't you agree, sir?
I know what you're insinuating, but I certainly wasn't making up stories. Still, to say you saw nothing isn't right either. No, sir, I saw nothing at all.
Mr. Beppo, you were driving your horse.
At the very least, you must have enjoyed a good view of the London streets, no?
Anyways...
Oh, please, you didn't even see that. And everything you saw in the incident was through the skylight of the roof on the omnibus.
That's right, it was fiercely cold that night, but the glass wasn't frosted over.
Oh yes, I remember, I was shivering. It was so bitter.
Wait, what did you say?
Hold up. That's right, it's fiercely cold that night, but the glass wasn't frosted over. Oh. Why the pair of you were sitting on the roof deck in the first place?
Well, I don't know about this young fella, but I couldn't enter the cabin.
Oh, why not?
It was locked from the inside. I tried knocking, but no one opened the door.
It was locked?
That's right, and it's public bus service, for pity's sake. That's not what I call for fair play.
Yes, I had exactly the same experience. I tried knocking, but the gent inside just gestured at me to clear off. So I had no choice but to climb up the roof deck and lock down longingly into the warm cabin below.
I can show you I wasn't just looking down, I was glaring, long and hard. And that's precisely why I can tell you with absolute confidence that if there was anyone else in the cabin, I would have noticed. Unequivocal, I would say.
Okay. Could they really have seen everything inside the cabin through the skylight? They might not have been able to. Allow me to confirm one thing, Mr. Fairplay. You were riding this omnibus and witnessed the events in the cabin through the skylight and the floor of the upper deck. Is that right?
That's right, yes.
In that case, there is a portion of the cabin interior that would have been out of sight from you.
What? I'm making a random guess, but someone we're doing good.
For once. Obviously at this stage we can't say for sure, but the possibility cannot be denied that at the time of the incident, there could have been another passenger in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus.
Objection!
Enough of hypothetical Mandarin, my Nipponese friend. Why are we still on that? The prosecution demands that you substantiate your claims. After all, the scene of the crime is here in the flesh. Very well, I will uphold the prosecution's demand. You will identify the area of the cross-examination section of the omnibus.
Can I go back? Where exactly in the omnibus are you suggesting that the potential extra passenger could have been situated?
Wait a minute, go back.
Go back to here.
Open it! Open it!
Open it! Did we suggest that it could be in there? Did we suggest that it was this area, right? This looks like a lot sort of equipment that might be needed to keep the omnibus running. Feeding to blah 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 blah. There doesn't seem any space for passengers to stow their luggage, that's for sure. Well, I don't imagine it would be very convenient for that purpose anyway. I mean, I was thinking that. If they were to see If they're seeing from there... It's quite a large skylight, isn't it? Yeah, it's quite large enough to afford a good view into the cabinet from the roof deck. And there doesn't appear to be a handle of a catch or description, so I suppose it can't be over from inside the cabin at least. I'm thinking that place, at least. If those guys were right there... Can I get a bigger point of view, at least? You can certainly see inside the carriage through this opening for sure. Yes, and there's a lamp in the enclosed cabin, so I'm sure the witness would have been able to see quite clearly. That's not good for us. Because you have this one person right on this side. And you can see from there. I know I'm wasting time on these tedious tasks, but still. Okay, I don't think I want to go through this. Can you imagine being dragged around the city in the freezing cold as punishment? Perhaps that is the real price you pay to stay out late. That's not what I was pressing, but okay. Okay, I need to save this just in case, just in case, just in case, just in case. Because I may be a fool on what we could do. So, the question at hand, where exactly is the omnibus? Are you suggesting that a potential extra passenger could have been situated? Please tell me it's in this little cabinet area right here.
Take that!
Here, my lord, in this location, an extra passenger could be completely hidden from view. If you believe that to be true, Counsel, then may I suggest you attempt to conceal yourself there? Sorry? Okay, we're not going anywhere with that. I was hoping for the freaking stowaway thing. There's bitterness in the air, it seems. You will identify the area of this cross-examined sectional plane of omnibus. Where exactly in the omnibus are you suggesting that the potential extra passenger could have been situated? Because if there's someone there, they would have noticed. Hold up. What am I trying to look for? The back? So this is the roof deck of the omnibus, and you must have a wonderful view. It's the same thing. I don't know where I was going with that back there. We just somehow made a right guess, but we don't know. We have no conclusive evidence as to what am I trying to guess for. What am I trying to think here? Open it! What am I looking for? Because the lamplight's right there. What exactly would we be looking for? What point of view would they not see? Because they can clearly see this right here. Yeah, that's what they can see. Where's the blood stain at? Oh, that's why. So I'm assuming they're right there. Assuming they're right there. That's all. And they can see. Where exactly in the omnibus are you suggesting that the potential extra passenger could have situated?
Take that!
Rows of the seat of the road facing the direction of travel. Whereas the seats in the enclosed cabin... Oh, I kind of got messed up. That's what I did. I messed up because of how it looks. I was thinking the opposite direction. I'm thinking the right side is where the blood is. Which means... the visible part of the cabin, which passengers on the roof deck can see through the skylight, is as drawn here. Okay, that's what I was thinking, but I was thinking the opposite direction. That's what it was. That's what happened. The seat opposite the one in which the victim and his attacker were sitting is obscured from view. In other words, if someone had been sitting on that seat, it's quite possible these witnesses would have been completely unaware of it.
Objection!
It's quite possible some phantom was sitting there. You Nipponese have forbidding habit of obscuring the truth with ambiguity. I concur with the prosecution rejoinder. In the British Court of Law, evidence is paramount. I cannot entertain the conjecture, counsel. That is, unless you are able to put a name to this mysterious bastard to whom you allude. Can you, Mr. Naruhodo? I honestly don't know. Who could have been? Who could have been in the other seat, which was out of sight from the witnesses on the roof deck? Do we have an idea? Do we have the jury in here? No, we don't. Who could have been the other seat, which was out of sight for the witnesses on the roof deck? Just in case. We just always keep saving, just in case. I understand, my lord. The defense would like to put forward a name. You are a fool. The response was desperate attempt made by a man who has no notion of his own limitations. A toast to hard lessons not yet learned. Let us not delay, counsel. The defense is still to name the passenger in the other seat. This could be it. This could be the chance I've been waiting for to turn the trial in my favor. On that night of the murder, the person occupying the seat in the omnibus cabin that was obscured from view was... the driver of the omnibus of which the murder took place. He's an eyewitness to the incident. The other one who works at the city banker, he witnessed the incident from his seat. The defendant himself?
Take that!
The passenger in the enclosed cabin that witnessed the roof deck fail to see has to have been Mr. Magnus McGilded. Gilded? What are you talking about, counsel? That's the name of the defendant.
Objection!
Did I make the right call? If I desecrate this chamber by smashing my hallowed chalice to forgive the discourtesy... I don't know what I said. Lord Von Zykes! People talk of those tiny island nations in the Far East as having a learning culture of their own, but I see they use the terms ill-advisedly. What are you trying to say? Let me explain in terms that even a student of artless backwater such as yourself might understand. When the bloody scene unfolded, the victim and his assailant were sitting side by side. Multiple witnesses have attested to that fact. It's the very premise of which this case is built.
Objection!
But that premise may be wrong. What? If the victim really was sitting beside Mr. McGilded, it creates an inconsistency that can be reconciled in any way. What inconsistency, counsel? The defendant's gloves, my lord. Both witnesses made the same testimony. They claimed that there was blood on both hands of the person sitting next to the victim.
Objection!
Yet we know the truth to be otherwise. Only one glove bears the gory remains.
Objection!
The point is, even in the face of his irrefutable evidence, both witnesses have maintained their stance.
Yes, their testimony remains unchanged.
Exactly. They both admittedly swear that they clearly remember seeing blood on both hands of the assailant. In short, their memory of events is correct, and their testimony reveals the truth. It was somebody else sitting beside the victim that night, a third party we have yet to identify. The victim's blood was on the passenger's hands, both of them.
Objection!
And who was this third party? Obviously, the true culprit.
Extraordinary!
Order! Order! What exactly are you postulating here?
Objection!
The defense postulation is just that, nothing more than conjecture. The witnesses have clearly stated that they saw the accused. But when elaborating on his testimony, Mr. Fairplay said the two of them were wearing hats, and I couldn't exactly make out their faces.
Yes.
The tops of their hats were obscured by the roof. I could see the rest of them though. Yes, that's right. Both gents were most certainly hatted. Hatters do tend to notice such things, sir.
And what particular size of the hat did the two gentlemen sport, Mr. First?
I'm afraid I don't remember. And you call yourself a hatter?
The style of hat makes no difference. There was no third passenger in that cabin.
How can you be sure?
Because if there had been, the accused Mr. McGiller would undoubtedly have offered to dispose the fact. Unless, that is, you are proposing an even more preposterous explanation. That the accused failed even to notice the presence of the true culprit in the very cabin in which he traveled.
He's right. If there was another person traveling in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus, it's inconceivable that Mr. McGiller would have been unaware of it.
Order! There is clearly a simple solution to this problem. Bring the accused, Mr. McGiller, to the stand. Well, what do you say, counsel? The prosecution objects, my lord. On what grounds? As a suspect, he will have already made a full statement to the police.
But what if there's some reason why he's able to speak freely?
Magnus McGilda is no uneducated ruffian.
If it indeed turns out the man has been withholding information,
you can be sure it will have been a most deliberate act. Counsel for the defense, what is your opinion?
My lord, should we ask Mr. McGill to testify or not?
Demand it?
Yes, we need to hear what he has to say in order to find out the truth. The defense would like to call Mr. McGill to the stand.
In that case, I would like to hear the opinion of the jury.
Yes, I need a little time to consider this. If you ask me, I think we should hear what Mr. McGill has to say. Get the man out of here, I say. It would be utterly illogical to not to hear his testimony.
When something needs doing, get it done. That's how I run things at the guild.
Hearing what the patron, my favorite little part, has to say? Oh yes, that would be lovely.
Yes, the jury says the man must be heard. Very well, the court will hear the defendant's testimony. Bailiff, show the defendant to the stand at once.
Now, maybe that what actually happened that night will finally become clear. To be continued? We'll end the episode right here. Like, comment, subscribe, Chronicles 69, signing out.